the world's going to go to hell in a handbasket. AI is going to make it so nobody has to work anymore and capitalism dies. Money won't mean anything. The dollar is going to deflate. It'll be like Venezuelans' money. It's going to be worth nothing. America's going bankrupt, Sean. If I said all those things to you while you were in high school, while you were in college, do you have a compelling future?
No. All right, guys, got someone today I've watched for years now. Very excited for this one. We got Dean Graziosi. Thanks for coming on today, man.
Good to be here, Sean.
Yeah, you've been up to a lot lately. Still grinding.
Yeah, still love it. That's why.
Yeah, I could tell by the passion and all your webinars and everything. You're really teaching something that means a lot to you.
It does. It's kind of it's a thing you don't realize when you're younger. You know, when you want to get ahead. Most of us are running away from something. We're running away from a childhood we don't like. Running away from watching your parents maybe settle. Or running away from the norm. You just don't want to live the normal path, right? And I think when you're running away from that, you're just looking for that opportunity, right? You're looking, you got to find the hunger. You got to find that opportunity. What can bring me the money, the freedom? And then there's a time where it shifts, where hopefully you get the money out of the way at some point. We could talk about that. And when you do, then you realize how cool would it be to do something that I would do for free, but I love to do every day. And I think that's where the craft of your artistry or your craft really starts to hone in.
Yeah, I love how you talk about money, because I think over 50% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, right?
Yeah.
And you're basically saying that when you live that way, you can't operate like yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. I look at my parents, amazing. They were married and divorced a lot, right? But at the kitchen table, I don't think they realized how much money was the conversation. My parents split when they were 3, so it was 2 different tables. But always, I shared this once with Lewis Howes, right? If I asked you about the oxygen in the room right now and said, have you thought about it? You're like, no, it's just abundant. It's everywhere. But if someone choked you, all you'd think about is oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
Same with money. You don't realize how sometimes money chokes our thoughts, our dreams, our goals. I would, but I'd like to, but. So when you realize that money, it's not the root of all evil. You can solve problems for yourself. You can solve problems for other people. You can give it all away if you want. But if you realize that our money does solve problems, and once you get money out of the way, I guess I know we jumped right into this, but once you get money out of the way, there's nobody left in the mirror but you. Because I know in my 20s and my 30s, all I did was hustle to get away from being that broke kid who had dyslexia, who lived in a trailer park. I wasn't into personal development. I wasn't. In my 20s, I was by the time I was in my 30s. But in my 20s, it was just run. And I started getting momentum. I had apartment houses. I was building houses. I had a collision shop. Then I started in the self-education industry. And all of a sudden there was a time, Sean, where I didn't think about money anymore. And I had to face that guy in the mirror, face those issues that probably drove me to be a crazy entrepreneur in the first place. Right? There was no when was kind of here. And then I had to work on me. And I think that's a wish I would love every single person, no matter what age you are. At some point, if money wasn't an issue anymore, what kind of man would you become? Or what kind of woman would you become? Yeah. And I think it's a different answer.
It is. So once you made some money, you finally found out what you were running from.
Yeah, for sure. And some of it, it's almost like there's certain things that happen in life. Maybe it's just me more than most. Maybe you could share if you have one, but there's certain things in life that happen. Maybe they're not the best, so you just tuck them away. Yeah. Like, I'm just hustling. I want to get this podcast going. I want to get my company going. I want to be independent. I want to be self-employed. I want to have a certain amount of millions invested. All these things, and you just go. And something else triggers that thing from childhood or the past or the feelings you had, and you're like, I don't have time for that. And you put it in the box. It's the way I looked at it. And then there was a certain point in my life where the lid came off the box and I couldn't put it back on because I had reached way beyond any financial success I ever thought was possible. I was having impact around the world. I'm partners with my dearest friend. I mean, I'm married to the love of my life. I know that sounds like, yeah, Dean, you're perfect. No, it took me a long time to get. I went through a divorce. I had bad partners, right? I had to go through what was wrong to get what was right. But there was a certain point where I had to face the things that were driving me in the first place. And I think that may have been one of the hardest of them all.
Wow. Your insecurities.
Yeah, insecurities and running away from not wanting to be like my dad and wanting to prove myself as a man and all those things that drove us in the first place can also drive you a little crazy until you finally face them. And then I'll tell you one more thing I want to share with everybody. If I also thought that, like I said, and we can go in any direction you want. My parents were married 9 times. My father was very physical between the two of them, right? They had 5 for my dad, 4 for my mom. My dad lived in had a very violent childhood. His father beat him really bad. So my father was very violent, very aggressive. I mean, I had a bleeding ulcer at 12 years old because I was so worried about my dad doing crazy stuff. Not physically to me, but to other people, right? So long story short, what did I do? I'm like, head down, just get freaking successful. You don't have to worry about your dad. You don't have to worry about your mom, all that craziness. I had my own apartment by the time I was 17. Like, just do your thing and go. And it was grind, hustle, screw everything. No, my past doesn't bug me. Who gives a shit? Like, just go. And then there's a moment where you don't have to run so hard. And it's like the box pops open. It's like, how do we deal with that? And I tell you, what I used to think is I got the hustle because I love the hustle. I love the grind. I'm 56 years old. I still grind hard every day. I start at 4 o'clock every day, right? I used to think that I didn't want to cure some of that because I thought that craziness was the drive. Like, what if I did that? What if I got soft? What if I got complacent? What if I had no more resilience, right? What if I wasn't creative or innovative or resourceful anymore? And that was another lie. When you get that clear, you become more centered, more focused, and you realize there's a whole nother level. I think I've grown since I've gotten more aligned.
Wow. What a journey, man. Thanks for opening up about that. Yeah, I think childhood trauma plays a major role in all our lives, and some of us never address it, right?
True.
How did you eventually face that, I guess? Was it a specific process?
I'd love to say that personal development's been a part of my life for a long time. I first listened to Tony Robbins probably 27 years ago, and now he's my dearest friend and partner. But when I listened to him 27 years ago, it started this journey. And I've gone through all of them. I still do personal development. I read a book a month.
Wow.
I listen to it while I work out, and I have to because it's like a muscle. You can't go to the gym for 3 weeks and get a pump and think you'll stay in shape for the rest of your life. So if you want your head straight, you want to focus on the best version of you. You want to focus on solutions and not let old stories hold you back. All that stuff keeps popping up.
Yeah.
Right. And every level, there's a new devil. So every time you think you got your shit figured out and you're going to the next level, all of a sudden you hire your 3rd employer, your 50th employer, your 500th, or you get to 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, or 1 billion. Every one of those levels have a massive amount of new devils. And each one of those could trigger something from your past, trigger an insecurity, trigger a fight or flight, and I'd say for me, what finally, and again, I'm ready to talk about any part of business. I'm here to serve today. So whatever I could do to help. But for me, it took a really big thing. I went through a divorce and I realized like that a decade ago, going through a divorce in the middle of having everything dialed in, business dialed in, dad of 2 at the time. Now I'm a dad of 4.
Wow.
When that happened, it was such a shock to my system that all those old things came flying back into my life and I just had to face them.
Did part of you, I think maybe it affected you so much because you saw your parents get divorced and you were kind of like,
yeah, I'm doing the same thing.
Right. I don't want that to happen to me. Right?
Yeah. And our childhood, when my parents they hated each other. They still don't talk.
Wow.
After 52 years of being apart, they still don't talk. I got remarried 7 years ago and we went to Italy to get married. I had to fly my parents who were in their 70s. I had to fly them on different planes and put them in different hotels.
Oh my God.
50 years after their divorce. Like, talk about crazy, right? So what I think happened is I thought, I'm going to put my kids through the same crap we went through. The violence, the anger, all that stuff. And it just triggered it. And there was zero way not to face it. So all I'm saying is I waited later in life. If there's something bugging you before we get into business, I hope you make millions of dollars. I hope you live into your full potential. I hope you find joy. Remember, success without fulfillment is the greatest failure of them all. Find a balance in your life. I truly wish that for every single person listening. And there's a path and plan for everyone. Model proven practices, persist till you succeed, keep moving forward, find hunger. We could talk about all that today. Yeah. And I'd love to.
Yeah, let's do it.
But if you don't look in the mirror, deep in the mirror, and say, how do I solve some of those things that are driving me crazy? They're eventually going to come out. So I wish someone gave me the advice to say, start healing them now. Not overnight, but start working on things that you align with. Find somebody in the personal growth world that you resonate with. So maybe you have somebody you follow that's making money and they're helping you with marketing and sales. Find someone else that helps heal your soul, heal your heart. And again, I think if someone told me that at 24, I'd be like, get out of my way.
Yeah.
Come on. I don't need that foo-foo crap. Just tell me how to make the money. But I realized I could have had a more balanced journey. And then the other thing too is when you get that out of the way, Sean, you get to find real deep reasons why that drive you way more than money. Money, did you know that 80% of all entrepreneurs who start on their own, like solopreneurs, 80% who start a business within 5 years are out of business.
Jeez.
80. 50% in the first year. I don't think it's a lack of hunger. I don't think it's a lack of capabilities. I don't think it's a lack of smarts. I don't think it's a lack of opportunities. It's a lack of hunger. It's a lack of focus. It's a lack of real deep purpose that you would die before you would give up on it, right? And I think that's why, though it might sound like it's like, I don't need to work on that, I think we all do, because you can find this balance that when things go wrong, you look at it differently. When things go wrong, you look at it as the wind behind your sail rather than the anchor that can hold you down. And it's just something I wish someone would have shaken me when I was a little younger and said, hey, keep hustling. Don't slow down, but work on you at the same time.
Yeah. I feel like when you're really aligned with your purpose, it's way harder to fail.
It is.
So hard. When you were first making money, was your identity tied to it, tied to money?
Of course. I'd like to pretend it wasn't, but it surely was.
How did you kind of break apart from that?
When I realized that even when I added money, I was still the same person. I still had the same deep down inner insecurities or things that went wrong. Like I'm still the same guy. And then, I would say realizing it didn't solve the problem. It makes life easier. I would never, every single person in here should do their own thing, hustle. And if it's in a career, go crush it in a career, get the promotions, do whatever it takes, because making more money, you solve more problems. That's a fact. You can take care of your parents, put money away for kids someday, donate it all to charity. Everybody should go after it. But it shouldn't be the main reason you do it. And what you realize once you have it, it just amplifies who you are. Money's just an amplifier. If, you and I both know people that are kind of rude and obnoxious, give them alcohol or money, they're more rude and more obnoxious.
Yeah.
Right? Find somebody who's shy and an introvert, give them money, they're just shy and an introverted millionaire.
Yeah.
Right? It amplifies who you are. So I think I got to a point where I realized I didn't want money to be my identity. I wanted purpose and passion and impact and being a good husband and being a good father to my now 4 kids. And for me, I've taken that really far. Like if you look on my social, I flew here on my plane today. You'll never see a picture of my plane on social. I've never done an ad on my plane. I live in the house of my dreams. I've never posted a picture of it. I wear a t-shirt every day. I put a collar on today. It was a big deal. But I wear a t-shirt every single day of my life. I feel the opposite of showing it now because I want people to respect me for my depth of wisdom and my depth of caring, not just because of money.
And that's impressive to me because a lot of people show off on social media to get views, but you're pulling serious numbers without that. You have the world record for number of live viewers with Tony Robbins, right?
We do.
Yeah, so that's super impressive. That means you're just providing immense value then.
Yeah, our last 11 events have averaged 1 million people each. 11 in a row.
That's insane. Like that's actually insane.
I did one with Matthew McConaughey too. I read his book. I freaking loved it. I got done. Have you ever listened to his book?
No, I need to.
Put it on your list. Green Lights. Everybody should listen to it.
I've been seeing him on podcasts and it's really deep stuff.
Yeah, it's so good. It's deeper than you would think. Like you wouldn't look at it as like, oh, he's a celebrity sharing some. This guy's journaled for every day of his life for 30 years.
Wow.
And he went through all of his journals over a year and found all the common roads that led to success and all the stuff that failed for him.
Wow.
And he found these ego paths and in my head path. And he found when I'm open and have my heart. So just framing that, I know now you want to listen to it because that's where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
So I got done listening to Green Lights, the book, and I'm like, and he reads the book himself with that McConaughey, he's just got that voice that kind of pulls you in, right? And we got done and I'm like, damn, I want more McConaughey. So long story short, we had a mutual connection. I sent him a 7-minute voice memo saying, love the book. The world needs more McConaughey. Mm-hmm. Let's do a big live event. Let's turn your book into a course. Because I told him a book, in a lot of ways, a book is very inspirational. A course or a training can be transformational because you give homework, you give tools, exercises, right? It's more video. So he agreed and we went to work, created something phenomenal. And we did a 1-day event. 2.5 million people showed up.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's insane.
You're the master of that, taking information and kind of figuring out how to disperse it in the right way.
Yeah, and it was great. People came and had 6 hours with me, McConaughey, Tony Robbins, my partner, and other great guests. They had the time of their life. So either they came, and one thing we can talk about today, if you get in on the business side, is I'm a really huge advocate right now of value in advance, obsessive value in advance when it comes to making an offer, making sales. So that's why when Tony and I do these big events, we do a 3-day or a 6-day immersive event. So we're giving so much value. So we want people to say yes and work with us and buy our products and stay with us forever. But we look at it as, if someone's going to spend 6 hours with us, I want them to leave and go, damn, that was amazing. That was worth my time. I don't think I'm going to move forward, but damn, that was worth it. And then we're in their ecosystem for life. The best would be is they watch for 6 hours and go, God, if I got that much for free, imagine what I could get if I worked with these guys.
Well, that's great, because I feel like there's a lot of distrust now, right?
There is.
On social media, because a lot of courses or gurus were promising a lot. Have you seen that?
It's been like that forever. I've been in this 28 years. I started in infomercials because everybody's like, why were you in infomercials? Like, because there was no internet. I know that's hard to imagine in your life or my kids' life. Imagine a life without internet, right? And there was the same thing when it was the infomercial era or direct response or people doing it through catalogs and mail. There was always those players, but now it's just easier access, right? Somebody with a Facebook account, an Instagram account could be in business pretty quick, under $1,000, you're in business, ready to go. So I'd just say, look for people to resonate with you, that have a little depth and breadth, they have experience. And just make sure the thing they're teaching you on, they've actually gone through, Exactly.
Yeah. Who's the one teaching it? Like you and Tony have 9-figure businesses.
Yeah.
That's not by luck. You've done it multiple times at this point.
True story.
Yeah. 14 companies now, right?
Yeah.
That's insane. How do you balance all that?
Well, I don't have 14 all at the same time. I help run Tony's main company, which he's got an amazing team over there, and I help them run that. I stepped in over there when the world went from when COVID hit and Tony was a live event business. Yeah. And they had to switch to digital, and I just went over to help my friend and I help run that company. Then we have our company, Mastermind, about 400 employees between the two. Those two take up the majority of my time.
Mastermind, so that's just a giant.
Mastermind.com, we co-founded, yeah.
Wow, 400 employees. That's insane.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's fun though.
You're still growing too.
We are.
What's the main focus this year? Is it those two companies?
It is. I think we're in a really unique space right now, whether you live here in the States or anywhere in the world. Technology is growing at a pace that none of us can calculate. Like, being my age, I've watched, I had the first car phone before cell phones came out. It starts with a pager and it goes to a car phone where you got to bolt this big thing to like the base of your car. It's like having an old school phone in your car. And then it went to a bag phone, then it went to the brick. I've been through all of that. I've been through the start of the internet, the scale of the internet, all those things. And I've read obsessively about technology through the years. But if I saw someone compare it, if you look at throughout the history of time, Sean, of evolution, like social evolution, it's not a 45, it's less than a 45, but it's growing. And printing press, car, like all these things happen. But when the steam engine came out, it was a pretty big blip. And then when the steam engine turned into gas engines and rocket and jet fuel, went straight up. So it changed everything, because you can transport food, you can do everything. It changed the world dramatically. And when they talk about, I saw somebody compare that to the internet and AI. Up until right now, we just been a steam engine.
Yeah.
And now we're a gas engine, jet fuel. You watch how AI is growing exponentially faster than anyone can even calculate. I think some people are going to sit on their hands and wait to see what happens with that. And those that get ahead of it, I think this is the gold rush. I think this is one of the greatest times in history to get in business, stay in business, grow in business. You could grow something now with AI and agents and help, especially your generation who grew up with a phone in their hand. Technology is not intimidating. There was no computers when I was in school. So I have to learn all this stuff and I have, probably 50 young people on my team that are just working on this things nonstop, right?
Yeah.
But I see this, I think that truly is an incredible time to do your own thing, to gain skills and capabilities at your fingertips, to like I'll always say the fastest way to get from where you are to where you want to be is find somebody who's already done it and model proven practices. How great is it that you can access people, you can access information, you can access knowledge, you can access AI, affordable to everybody. So if we got great opportunity coming, if you're not intimidated, then then what are the ingredients people need to not play small?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of AI. Did you see this AI boom coming at all, or did it catch you by surprise?
No, it didn't catch us.
Oh, you were prepared?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I feel like timing is important, right? You could capitalize off the earliness of it.
For sure.
Do you have AI companies or investments?
We do AI companies, AI investments, and even Tony and I are doing a big event in May, and we're going to showcase an AI that's literally going to change the game.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it would literally change the game.
Wow, I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about, if I had to ask you, Sean, why do you think 80% of solopreneurs fail? Even if you go with 50% of businesses fail the first year, why would you think they fail?
Lack of guidance, lack of information.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Because I look at my early years with no guidance, no mentorship. I could have done all that in like way less time.
Yeah.
With the right information, the right mentors.
Isn't that so true?
Yeah.
Isn't that so true?
I was grinding.
And we grind, and then we get in our head, no one can do it the way I would do it. No one's ever done it like I want to do it, right? And it's so funny. We're coming out with something we're calling guided business development. And I think it's going to change the game forever. I mean, think about when you started, if somebody was with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, said, whoa, wait, Sean, this is the way you should do this. No, this is the business plan. No, this is the marketing campaign. No, this is the headline you choose. No, this is the kind of sequence, funnel, follow-up sequence. No, this is how you bond with your clients. And just there for you. So there's never a blank page that you're stuck on. There's never a stressful moment that you can't get an answer for. And that's where we are, right? Especially when you can take and download. I've been in this business almost 30 years. Tony, over 40. We've got like 75 years between the two of us. Imagine we get the chance to download that into an AI that's there. Imagine that being downloaded. Imagine on your phone, you got Tony and Dean to say, hey, when it comes to mindset, who's better? Tony's the GOAT. There's nobody even close in second place. That guy's the best in the world. And not because he's my dearest friend. There's just nobody close. And comes to marketing, I get to do things that most people haven't. A lot of people, we've done the biggest internet launches in the world, and we continue to do them year after year. We impact people in 100, our next one in May, we'll have 800,000 to 1 million people in over 120 countries.
That's insane.
Like, we get to do that. And now we have the opportunity to download that and make our legacy AI that thinks like us. I mean, think about that, right? That unfair advantage to go, it took you guys 7 years to figure this out. Tell me how I can do it in 3 months.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't even use Google anymore.
Me neither. I don't know the last time I was there. I don't even know the last time I used it.
It's at that point where I feel like ChatGPT is more accurate.
It is.
Like, or at least more like specific.
More specific. That's a better.
Google is off sometimes. Yeah, but I'm a huge fan. I mean, I'm a chess player and I use AI to get better. I play poker a little bit. I use AI to get better. It's just making me a better podcaster too.
Yeah, and you know what? I would bet to say we're talking about learning from other people. I think it's really awesome what you do, Sean. I mean, you get the opportunity to interview different personalities, people with success, people from different backgrounds. Some people are going to come in and talk all about money. Some people are going to talk too much about personal stuff, and you wish they talked more about money, right? Yeah. Some people are going to lean extremely left if it comes to politics, extremely right. You get to collect all that knowledge, and you get to, I love thinking through the lens of throw away what doesn't serve you and keep what does, right? You might have a podcaster and half of it, I don't agree with that, but there's one nugget. And it's almost like it goes in your collective wisdom and it stores up. So I think you got a total unfair advantage for your business for what you're doing.
Yeah, I say I take at least one thing from every guest, at least. It doesn't matter who it is. Could be an OnlyFans girl, it could be Andrew Tate, could be you. I'd say everyone has value in certain areas.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and you've gotten to hang out with some very important people. I saw you talking about hanging out with Richard Branson. I'm sure you've learned a lot from guys like that.
I sure have. One of the greatest lessons I learned from Richard Branson, and it wasn't because I was totally cool. It's because I raised $1 million for his charity years ago. And because it was just a worthwhile cause. He was doing something huge to help people in need. And he said, I'll cover all the costs. So whatever you raise, 100% goes to people in need. So we raised $1 million. Then he invited us. He's got an island, Necker Island in the Caribbean.
Famous.
So he invited us to come. So I go, and I'm an early riser. I get up at 4. I used to get up at 5. Now it's 4. But I got up at 5 every morning. No one else was up on the island but him and me. And I bumped into him twice. And he's like, you like being up early? I remember he's like, do you know how to sail? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I never sailed a day in my life, right? He goes, I'll meet you at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Let's sail around the island. So I had that opportunity. It's cool. I've shaken his hand, but this was me and him on a little sailboat.
Yeah.
We got to sail around the island. It was pretty cool. It was really awesome. And what you realize, and this is something, please, everybody here, when you don't have success yet, it feels magical. It feels mythical. It feels like you got this cool thing on your desk. It's almost like, Richard, how did you become a billionaire in he looks around and like pulls something like this out of his pocket and it opens and like star beams come out and it's like, oh, it's not as complicated as people think. The little things are the big things. I love that saying, small hinges swing a big door. Have you spent enough time on your purpose? The purpose so strong, a why so strong that when stuff goes sideways, when you doubt yourself, imposter syndrome, all that stuff comes in, your purpose outweighs your worries. It's just bigger than that. How do you have a morning routine that sets you for a day of success, right? How do you focus on solutions, not obstacles? How do you focus on what you have, not what you lost, right? How do you become a culture of progress, not a culture of comparison? We live in a comparison world with social media, right? How do we, like all these little things that people go, no, that's not it. It really is. And the more I've been blessed to meet billionaires and some of the most successful people on the planet, and I get to call so many of my friends at this phase of my life, it is all the little things that were cumulative that they didn't give up. They kept going until they hit success. When they failed, they found a way to shake it off and keep going because their purpose was big enough, or they used the failure as energy, not as an anchor, like all these little things. So the reason I share that is this was probably 15 years ago when I was with Branson, and I was doing good. My company at the time was doing about 80 million a year.
Wow.
So I was doing extremely well, but nowhere near where I am today. I think I've grown a lot since then. But I remember thinking, yeah, maybe millionaires don't have the magic. But if you're a billionaire, maybe they have the magic. And I remember sitting on the boat asking him things, and he was talking about how he found his hunger and how he wanted to take care of his mom instead of mom. He wanted to take care of his mom and started in 7th grade. And he told me all these things, and it was all the same little things. It was all these same little cumulative things that added up that made him Richard Branson. But the one big takeaway that I said, hey, I'm fine. My companies are doing well, and I feel like I want to give back more. Not guilty about making money, but I wanted to do more for the world. And he said something really cool, and I'm going to paraphrase it, but he basically said, hey, God, the universe, whatever you believe, puts people on this earth with different capabilities and different skills. And he said, thank goodness for the people that say, go to a homeless shelter and help and serve and maybe serve food or help people get clothes. Like, thank God for those people. He said, but you are given the gift to know how to make money. So I think you should go all in on that, because some people need to go there and help serve food. You can walk in and hand them a check for 50 grand. If that's the gift that God gave you, go make as much money as you possibly can. If you want to give it all away and impact lives, you should, but you have a gift. And I thought it gave me permission to go faster, harder, stronger.
Yeah.
And since then, and my partner, Tony, is obsessed with giving back and serving others. But, I've done 30 million meals through Feeding America. We build churches in Africa. When the fires hit in California, we used to do fun stuff. Tony called me. He's like, there's a lot of people that were in rich areas, but there's a lot of people who weren't. And they can't even afford to go to an Airbnb right now. So Tony's like, I'm going to put up 750 grand right now to get some Airbnbs for him this week. I'm like, put me in for 250. Let's give $1 million. Like, we get to do those fun things in the invisible. I didn't put it on social. I don't tell anybody when I donate money or do things like that, but I get to do it. It makes me feel good. Like my little scorecard of life. Right. And then I just think, wow, if I give more away, that means I'm going to sharpen my skills to go make more of it. Because I heard somebody say once, if you think money doesn't solve problems, you haven't given enough away yet.
Wow. It's powerful. It's really powerful. I bet you've learned a lot from Tony over the years working with him.
I have.
How did you first get on his radar? Because there's probably thousands of people trying to work with him, right?
Yeah. Mutual friend hooked us up when we were going to have a half-hour lunch, and we ended up spending like 5 hours together. We just hit it off. We both canceled the rest of our meetings, and we hit it off. And he invited me to an event. I went to an event, and then I flew to his house about 2 weeks later, and we spent 2 full days together just talking about life, about business, and just a lot of similarities.
A lot of alignment.
All those little things. Yeah, his mom was like my dad, and just all these little alignments. And it's funny you say that. I got to tell you, we start building this friendship. It's probably 12, 13 years ago. And every time I'm with him, I start going to some meetings with him, or everybody is pitching him on this business, that business. And he's telling me about, I got this one. I mean, the flood of, I'm sure you get him now, Sean. Wait in 5 years.
Yeah.
In 5 years from now, when you're even more successful, in 10 years, imagine 35 years from now, You did it every day of your life. You're worth $1 billion, whatever it is that you have a goal for. Imagine the amount of opportunities that come in. It's opportunity overload.
Yeah.
Even for me, I have to learn to just say no. And so many of them are amazing. But you just can't say yes to everything. So, but I was watching all these people wanting to be partners or get his database. And I'm like, I made this commitment. I'm like, I don't want to do business with Tony. We're friends. Let's leave it. So we went about 5-6 years of just building a really solid relationship. And then one day we were on the golf course. I golf twice a year, so to speak. We just golf together twice a year because it gives us like 3 hours of uninterrupted time.
Yeah.
We're both not that great at it. Luckily, we're about the same, not that great. But we talked about, like, if we were going to start a business, what would we do? And that's why we co-founded Mastermind, because we both said, he said, if I didn't find Jim Rohn, you probably know old Jim Rohn, personal development stuff.
Classic.
Tony went to a Jim Rohn event when he was 17.
Wow.
And changed his life forever. He didn't have a lot of money. He was living out of his bus. He was living out of a Volkswagen bus, didn't have a house, didn't have anything, but he gave $50 to go to a Jim Rohn event, and every word of Jim Rohn said shifted his life, and found a way to go to his next level event and started working for Jim Rohn. That's how Tony started. Started teaching Jim Rohn stuff and then evolved to teach his own stuff. And Tony Robbins, 28 years ago, I bought his product off of an infomercial called Personal Power. I was already doing pretty well by then, but it shifted my life completely. So we just had this conversation. What's the one thing that shifted both of our lives more than anything? Like, we were joking, like I'd be asking you want to double that order with your fries if I didn't find personal development and self-education. So that day we decided, let's share what we know. We'd been in it for 70 years. Let's teach people that their life experience might be the greatest asset that they own. We just talked about what's the fastest way to get the result you want. Find somebody who's already done it. Yep. Get guidance, get mentorship, right? So that's when we decided that's how Mastermind was formed. It was on a golf course saying, let's create something to teach people to do what we do. And then when we're gone someday, we hope we build an army of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people that are taking their life experience and giving back, impacting others. And
pass the torch.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yep.
Has the business relationship ever bled into personal? Because you guys are friends, right? Super close. And working with friends can be tricky sometimes, right?
Yeah, I'm going to give you I'll give you a little hint if you ever bring on partners, or anybody listening, if you bring on partners. You got to align your values. And what I mean by that, especially when you're on your way up and you're hustling, sometimes you'll meet somebody where if you partner, the money could come in, but you got to compromise your ethics and your values to make it happen. And I know there's some people listening right now saying, I get that. I've done it in my 20s. I chose the wrong partners. You got to be aligned. It's like choosing a spouse or a significant other. You got to be aligned. If one person only cares about money, and one person cares about people first and money second, no way it's ever going to meet. It's never. And if you choose money first, I've never seen anybody win who chooses money first.
Wow, that's deep.
Right? You got to choose, is it a service that impacts people? Does it really have depth and breadth? Is it sustainable? You've watched online campaigns come on with the 6 figures in 6 minutes. Somebody will blow up, and then why are they gone in 18 months? Because the product wasn't built right. It wasn't done right. It takes a depth of caring, and then go make all the money in the world. But my whole point is picking the right partner is really important, without compromising who you are, and really being aligned, like almost write a prenup of, is this what you believe? And this is what I believe. And if it doesn't work out, how do we go about it? Do you know how many people get stuck in ugly partnerships? I mean,
a lot. It
happens all the time. And especially the creative who brings on a partner who's an operative. They think through completely different lens. The crazy, innovative entrepreneur who does podcasts and does crazy stuff compared to someone who comes in and wants structure and standing operating procedures and processes.
Yeah.
They're two different languages. I've watched those two explode into ugliness. So you just got to be really clear on the way in. But once you choose the right person, the best advice I could give is don't keep score. If your capabilities and someone else's capabilities align and 1 + 1 makes 5, where I've seen them go sideways, like, wow, maybe you're working on a career. What do you spend most of your time on?
I would say researching for guests and self-development.
Okay. Think of those two things, right? You bring in a partner. And it's like, wow, Sean's off. At first, it's love. Like, oh man, Sean's so amazing. And all of a sudden, there's a time where your business grows to 40 people. Your operator's running 40 people on a day-to-day basis and worried about money and finances and all the pieces and human resources. And do we go from an accountant to a CFO, or I just need a controller. I don't know. Maybe it's a controller now. Oh, I got to interview controllers. No, I think we're big enough for a CFO. All these things are happening.
Yeah.
And Sean's watching a podcast of Lewis Howes and Dean so he can prepare for the thing. And now he's going to a mastermind in freaking Phoenix. Dude, I'm doing all the work. This guy's lounging. I'm telling you, it goes that way. When you find the right partner, someone goes, Sean working on his personal development, Sean getting ready for a podcast is the reason we have this business. Go let him live into his craft. I'll keep getting better at my craft, right? But you got to have that right partner. And then you got to realize once you're in it, if you guys have an end goal, then you can't keep score. You can't be like, well, Sean's doing this. I want to do this. Once you keep score, it's over. And I have to tell you, we're partners for 7 years, Tony and I. There's never been one ugly moment in 7 years.
That's impressive.
Never one. And I'll tell you why. We work on, Tony taught me this, and I love to say when the guy taught me something, he goes, imagine, are you in a personal relationship?
Yeah.
Okay. You can take this for your personal relationship or business relationship. Tony said to me once, imagine if you felt love when you gave it, not when you received it. How would your life change?
Gave it.
You felt love
Yeah.
when you gave it, not just
more.
received it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, think about if you go, I talk about it this way. Imagine coming home. My wife handles 4 kids, our 2 little ones and some older kids, right? She's juggling all the time. Imagine coming home from a long day of work. Like, I'm killing it in work, hustling, put out a problem, someone quit, something happened in marketing, right? You do all that. And then you come home, it's like, God, I'm working so hard. You come home and my wife, I'm in a mood. So I walk in and I don't give her a kiss, don't give her a hug, just in a mood. And she keeps score. That night we go to bed, she lays on the other side of the bed. Hey, he was cold to me. Now I'm in bed forgetting that I was even rude when I walked in going, why the hell is she on the side of the bed? Well, screw it. I don't need this. I'll go watch TV on the other side. All of a sudden this intimacy breaks, all the things break because you're keeping score. Well, and then you start thinking, well, you know what? I'm putting 60 hours a week. Is she really putting 60 hours a week in with the kids and the wife? Like, and I hired a nanny for her. I mean, I got a house cleaner. I mean, what the hell is she doing? And then he gets to jump on planes and go to Vegas to have a podcast with Sean Kelly. I don't know. Like, all of a sudden, it's the end of a relationship. It's the same in business. And I'll tell you, Tony shared that with me. I love the guy. He feels the same for me. We try to outdo what we can do for each other. Instead of me thinking, hey man, I'm hustling this week at Mastermind. I wonder what Tony's doing. It's like, no. I'm hustling for both of us. I know he's doing what Tony Robbins does. And sometimes Tony can make one call and set up our whole year.
Wow.
I'm not going to mess with that. And he's not going to mess with my hustle. And in my lane of expertise, when he's like, we're doing a launch, we're going to put 1 million people in. You know what Tony says? Tell me what to do, brother. When we put 1 million people in the room, I'm like, go do what you do best, brother. Right? And when there's no score and you feel good about giving more than receiving, it creates this culture that you want to just impress each other more. You want to do more for each other. And it's rare. And it probably happened, Sean, I'm just being completely transparent because I was 48 years old when we started our partnership. If I was 28, I don't know if I would have done it. So the reason I love sharing this, again, being on this podcast, I know you said your average viewer is probably 25?
Yeah.
Here's what I want to share. I just have more time on this earth than most of you, right? I'm still in the game every day. I still have young kids. I'm 56 with a 2-year-old. So still running and gunning, and I love it. What you should do is just take a moment and hear this, because I'm you in 25 years. I'm you in 20 years. I'm you in 30 years. If you're listening right now and you have the opportunity to go, wow, that's coming. It doesn't mean you have to do what I do at 48 or 50 or 55, but you could slowly start keeping your eyes open for these things. If you're keeping score, if you're not focusing on the little things, if it's money first, picking the wrong partner, losing my hunger, losing my focus, right? Sometimes you get in a business because you have this passion and purpose to do this thing, and then money steers you down a different road, and you're so far away from your original idea. You might be making money and you wonder why your soul is empty, why you want to go home and kick the dog. You just don't feel purpose. You're drinking too much on the weekends. You're partying too much. It's because you're nowhere near your original purpose. Stop sometimes. Take a look. Find that thing that drove you in the first place and start steering your ship back towards it.
Wow. I love that, man. Keeping score, I'm guilty of that for sure.
I was too. I went through a divorce. Yeah. So sometimes you learn from this thing, right?
Yeah. And I think as men, sometimes we're too logical and we're just like, oh, I work this amount of hours. Why didn't you do that?
Yeah.
And then you take it out on people. Yeah.
That's a true story.
So true.
And can I tell you the first thing in your personal relationship that'll do?
Yeah.
Kill intimacy.
Yeah.
No crush intimacy.
No. 100%.
Like, why do we have all this intimate connection? But now you're thinking, wow, I worked all day today. What'd you do? Did you sit on the couch? Were you on social media too much?
I've said that exact sentence.
You get in your head, you're like, wait, on social media all day? And then it's like, really? Like, and I'm not saying it could be true. Then you have to have a conversation about it. So I'm not saying ignore it, right? You have to have the right partner that aligns with you. And you are a growing entrepreneur. You're going to want someone to appreciate that growth.
Yeah.
You're going to want someone, and I mean this, you're going to have to be, I'm just being honest, as a crazy entrepreneur that does stuff that most people aren't willing to do, or does stuff in the invisible others don't. I'm not knocking anybody who has a career, because anybody in a career who's killing it, that's great too. But you're going to do different things. You're going to say no to things other people usually say yes to, and you're going to say yes to things that other people say no to. It's very counterintuitive sometimes. And a significant other can be like, I just don't understand. Why do you sacrifice? Why do you do these things? I would say sooner than later, try to let your partner see inside your mind. Let them see how you look at the world, because it's different than most. And you might not realize it, but it's completely different than most.
Absolutely. Yeah, dating an entrepreneur is not easy.
No, and I read a little bit of your background. In 2016, you started?
Yeah.
Dropped out of school?
Yeah.
Loved it. Loved the story. But just think of the average person. Dropped out of school, started your own thing, starting a podcast when there's millions of podcasts out there. Why would yours make it? What are you going to do different? What do you have different than everybody else? You have no followers. You're like, all those things seem logical to other people. And inside the entrepreneur's mind, you're like, screw that. I'm going to be a top podcast. I'm going to build a big business. I'm going to do my own thing. But you could see people on the outside think you're nuts.
Yeah.
Right? And you got to let a significant other, people that you care about, you got to let them into that world and let them see it sooner than later. And maybe it doesn't last. I'm not saying for you. Or maybe someone goes, I understand how they work.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so blessed. You know, again, I, of course, went through a divorce, so I know I had to mess it up to figure it out. But I'm married to the love of my life. Like, not even a joke. Like, I don't look, I don't stray. My wife could hire a private investigator to freaking film me for a week without me knowing. And when she saw the video, she'd love me more.
Yeah.
Like, that's the phase of my life I'm in. I wasn't always that guy. I'm that guy. But I want to tell you why. Because this is a woman that if I call on date night and I'm like, hun, I'm so sorry. This project's got me bound down. I can't make dance recital for my little daughter, Vida. And I'm going to miss our date. My wife would say, hun, everything we have is because of you. Go kick ass. I got the kids. We'll do date night another time. I love you. I get off the phone like, God damn it, I need to be twice as successful. I love that woman. Compared to, really, you're going to miss date night? I'm already dressed. What the hell? Then as a man, it's like, you start thinking, score. I'm here killing myself. I got to solve a problem because somebody's quitting or something's going on, and you're worried about date night. Like, that's how it happens.
Right.
So transparency. Crazy transparency. Let your significant other see the madness that usually you just think about in the shower when you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope that helps.
No, that was great. You mentioned comparison earlier. I did want to talk about that because you have kids, and it's a major issue with my generation. Mental health's at an all-time high. Mental health issues.
Yeah, your generation is the worst in history.
I think.
I just read an article on it.
Yeah, I think social media, right?
I think it's I think there's two things, and I'm not getting political, but Tony and I have had this conversation about why your generation, how old are you?
28. So millennial, I think?
Yeah.
Or?
So millennials are on more antidepressants, more suicide, and more depression, and Gen Z is following, right, than any other generation. And Tony and I talk about this a lot. Did you ever see the study they did? They did a Harvard study on survivors of cancer who lived the longest. And they looked at food, diet, background. They looked at everything. You know what the common thread was for the people who lived the longest?
What was it?
Purpose.
Really?
They had a reason to live.
Huh.
Right? So think about that. We all need a compelling future. If your future seems smaller than your present day, are you excited?
No.
Right? Do you know your future is going to be better?
Yeah.
Do you know it's going to be bigger?
Yeah.
You know your company's going to grow? You're going to marry someone that you really enjoy?
Yeah.
Maybe kids someday?
Yeah.
Right? Bigger future. But what if I said, Sean, you know, I'm just using this as an example, right? Global warming is going to end the world. Or crazy president, last one first, the one that's here now, whoever you care about, it's going to end the world. The world's going to go to hell in a handbasket. AI is going to make it so nobody has to work anymore and capitalism dies. Money won't mean anything. The dollar is going to deflate. It'll be like Venezuelans' money. It's going to be worth nothing. America's going bankrupt, Sean. If I said all those things to you while you were in high school, while you were in college, do you have a compelling future?
No.
And I think we have a whole generation that was brought up with all that stuff in the news and on social media of like, why? Why would I even try more? The world's probably not even going to be here in 20 years. Whether you think, again, not being political, whether you think it's the ice caps melting, or whether you think of bankruptcy and broke, or that money means nothing anymore, you only need one or two of those things to go, why? And then when you don't have a compelling future, I mean, this is the best it's going to get. That's where depression comes from. Now, this is just my belief. This is deep conversations when Tony and I are sitting up till 2 o'clock in the morning, just talking, because we think of how can we give people a more compelling future. We don't judge. I'm not judging anyone. But it's here. So if we love doing big events, because in that moment, when we do an event with 1 million people for 3 days, about 3 hours a day, everybody's getting a compelling future. Everybody realizes that we could be from different parts of the world, different religious backgrounds, different financial backgrounds, different, political background. Yeah. And we can all come together for 3 days because we all know we're meant for more. We just need a path and a plan to see how to achieve it. And we get to do that. And we watch 1 million people, not that you can see them all at once, but we know people are coming together going, and I think that's what you said. I think the number one thing that could help is crafting your own compelling future, to realize nobody's coming to save you. And maybe some things that could help you think of a better future. Innovation has solved a lot throughout history, hasn't it?
Yeah.
If you think of oil, it used to be the black stuff on camel's hooves, right? Innovation figured that out. Innovation will figure out how to get away from oil. Innovation. And maybe someone would call me, maybe I'm overly optimistic, but I think you got to be brave enough to be overly optimistic. Like it takes bravery to be optimistic in today's world. So people go, oh, you're a dreamer. The world's ending. Oh, it's like, no, I believe that innovation is going to find a way to get rid of that we won't need to use oil in the future, or we'll have a clean version of it. I think innovation will do that. I think innovation will solve so many things. I think innovation can help solve hunger as AI comes. I think there's so many things. So when I feel that way, that I feel the future is bigger, I want to be a part of that. I want to ride that wave. I want to be an inch in front of the big wave coming in. I want to ride it all the way to the shore, right? So I would say one of the biggest things, if you find yourself falling, in your head, if you find yourself going, why should I even do this? Maybe just find a way to craft a compelling future that's bigger. Be bold enough and brave enough to be optimistic and say, screw it. This world's going to be amazing and I'm going to be out in front.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd rather be optimistic than pessimistic.
Yeah. What's the benefit?
I would have never started any of the companies if I wasn't optimistic.
And if you would have looked at data and being a pessimist, would you have ever done anything? Most businesses fail. Why would yours do it? So many podcasts, nobody listens to. Right? You had to be an optimist. You had to be a dreamer. You had to be bold. You had to be hungry, right? Again, the little things that are the big things. I just named some. I didn't give you any magical money machines or how to do the special marketing tactic. You just had to do those things on a regular basis. You sitting here, why I already have respect for you, because I know how many times you already thought about quitting. I know how many times you're thinking, how come this podcast, how come we're not monetizing at the level we need to go to the next level, get a new office, double in size? I already know all the shit that you think about in the invisible. I already know how many times you probably thought, maybe I should quit and get a steady job, and maybe that would make my girl or my significant other happy. Like, I already know that, but you're still here doing it. So I have such depth of respect for you without even barely knowing you.
Wow. Everything you said has happened. Literally, I've thought about quitting. I've thought about getting a job, that's spot on. I think every entrepreneur struggles with that, right?
They all do.
When they're starting out. It's not an easy life, man. I know it's like glorified on social media, but it's really up and down.
I'm going to tell you a little, everything has its good and bad, true?
Yeah.
So as an entrepreneur, a lot of times it's very lonely because you'll meet new people in your life that will have the crazy dreams, but some of the people you went to college with or friends with or high school friends, they took a traditional path. So it seems odd to them. And to them, it seems odd. And to you looking at them seems more consistent. It's more of they're going 70 miles an hour, but there's guardrails up on the road. As an entrepreneur, you're going 150 and then 10, 150 and then 10. There's no guardrails. You're on a freaking cliff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's scary. But everything has its circumstance. Everything has its good and bad. I want to tell you a little story, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I I grew up in a small little town in upstate New York. I had a dear friend, one of the greatest guys on the planet. Awesome dude. Growing up, and at 16, I was fixing wrecked cars and flipping them and selling firewood to my teachers. That's what I did in high school, right? So my first 2 businesses, firewood business and cars. And I just always knew that there was more. My big why was I wanted to retire my mom. She was always struggling her whole life, and she was such a badass, such an incredible woman, but worked 3 jobs to make nothing. And I retired her when I was 23 or 24 years old. And she's still alive. She's still with me. She's 80 years old, and I still send her a check every week of her life, and bought her a car, bought her a house. Same with my dad, right? So those things that drive you can really get the rocket off the ground, start the momentum. But I'm digressing.
Your friend.
Yeah, my friend. So always thought I was crazy. And I remember 2 years out of high school, we lived about an hour from New York City. And his uncle was a head of a union in New York City, laborers union or bricklayers union. And he said, dude, enough with the dreaming. We can go work for my uncle. We can both get manager roles. We can make like $1,200 a week, which back 30 years ago, 40 years ago, whenever it was seemed like no one in my family had ever made $1,200 a week. It seemed like $1 million a year, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, you don't have to worry anymore. It's consistent. My uncle will take care of us forever. We'll be on the best jobs. And he took that job. And I remember thinking to myself, maybe he's right. Maybe I'm the fool. I don't have an education. I didn't go to college. I didn't come from money. I have dyslexia. I don't know what my IQ is. Like all these things you're thinking, right? Long story short, he went his life. I went mine. I had the roller coaster, crazy times, ups, down, all the stuff I mentioned to you in the invisible. His was more consistent. I bought a 20-acre farm back in this little town I grew up in. My wife loves it there. We grow garden there. We have animals there. We have a lake where we fish and all this stuff. Bring the kids there. Last year I go back, I get to spend time with him. And as we're sitting there and he came with a 6-pack of beer, I hadn't drank a beer in probably a year. I popped the beer, I'm drinking a beer with him. And he said, hey, I always thought you were crazy. He said, I want to tell you, I really commend you. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't really talk about my success when I'm there. I'm just the guy that grew up there, right?
Right.
But he said, I got to tell you something. I used to think you were crazy, but I missed it. And I'm like, what do you mean you missed it? He's like, I took that steady road. He said, but going to the city to work from here is an 1.5-hour train ride. He said, I got up and left the house before the kids woke up, and I got home when they were asleep.
Wow.
He said they're 21 and 24 because I missed it. And I felt it, like I could cry right now for him because I could feel his depth of like, so my whole point is all roads have their pros and cons. But what I love about being an entrepreneur is you got to do the hard part for a while. You're going to question yourself for a while, Sean. Anybody listening, you're going to fail. You're going to have people tell you you're crazy. Things are going to get pulled out. You're going to hire somebody. You got to let go. You're going to have a partner that doesn't work out, and all of those things. But it gets to a certain point where that knowledge turns into wisdom and intuition, and that's when your business starts to hum. And then you'll learn leadership skills that you haven't yet. And it's not even time to learn. You'll learn leadership skills, and you'll actually hire the right people, and you'll hire generals, and they'll help you fuel your company, and they'll have your back. And you're going to get to a point where you'll realize no way in the world would you have ever chosen any other route than the one you did, because you will be in control of your calendar. You will not miss your kids waking up in the morning. You will not miss baseball practice. You'll not miss whatever things you don't want to miss, because you will be in control of what goes on your damn calendar. And if it takes hard work, if you got to live the hard way for a little while to live the easier way for the rest of your life, then I'm going to encourage you to do it, because everything has its byproducts. And for me, someone else to be in control of my calendar, my time, my life, my decisions, I'd die to be on the opposite side of that.
I love that story. Dean, it's been an honor having you. Where can people find the next event, keep up with you?
Yeah, I think we have a link. Our next event is May 15th. You can go to thrive700.com, thrive700.com. It's Tony, myself. We got Jay Shetty coming. We got Matthew McConaughey coming, some other amazing guests. We should have 800,000 to 1 million people. And over 3 days, we're going to show you why everybody should not only be an entrepreneur, how you can get guided business assistance and development, and why everybody should be selling what they know.
I love it. We'll link below. Thanks for coming on, Dean.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, check them out, guys. See you next time.